everyone, this is P4L. In today's review, or preview as it is, we're going to do the very last showcase for MMC's new lineup, which they revealed mostly at Cyber City Con the other weekend. Sorry for the delay on Roadbuster here, or Dicamus, or Dicamus, it might be Dicamus. The delay was really caused by the fact I didn't have his correct gun, which was shipped back by accident, and I did finally get it this weekend. So here we are. So let's go ahead and get started. Really quick disclaimer, this is a just early preview of a test shot or pre-production sample. So all the things here that you see are going to be just prototype form, not actual retail release. This guy still has quite a while before he's going to be released, I believe. And so some of the tolerances and paint and everything like that, some of the details are likely to see some minor or major changes before it actually gets released. With that said, let's go ahead and start with robot mode review. And as you can see, Dicamus is pretty big. He's really bulky, an IDW inspired Roadbuster. Obviously, he is mold mates with Striker or Titanica, MMC's Titanica, which I did a review for, a preview for last week. But he does feature a lot of different remolds, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and get started with a quick 360. And yeah, he's just a hulking beast, really massive. Some of the things that you'll see are some remolded parts for the arms and the chest and obviously the head, but also the lower legs have only one wheel, and if you were to flip it around, this is the kind of the transformation for the mold mate Titanica. You can see there's only one wheel on the inside as opposed to two wheels. And you can still do that transformation if you want, but it really is supposed to look like this for Dicamus. His gun is also remolded into two parts. Right now you can see I was using it kind of as a shoulder cannon, but this pegs in down here. It's a nice green with some painted details, really nicely molded. Some of the things that I realized after messing with this guy for a bit longer and Titanica for a bit longer are that there's a lot of cool hidden features in this molding, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but you can also take that off and extend this into a big honking rifle if you'd like, or as I was doing before, you can kind of use it as a shoulder cannon or even arm cannon here, which are some extra peg holes which Titanica didn't have. So speaking of Titanica, let's just do a really quick comparison with them before we get into articulation. So as you can see, very different in terms of look. It's nice that we get two really cool looking figures from a single mold. But you can see the shoulders are different, the chest is obviously vastly different, the head is quite different. The lower legs look different just because of the way you can transform them. On the back is pretty much the same. A lot of stuff here is going to be the same. The wheels are slightly different in terms of the molding of the rims or hubcaps or whatever you want to call them. You're going to see a lot more of the differences in alt mode when we get into that a bit later, but you can see the forearms and stuff like that are vastly different. Some other quick comparisons. I did want to show next to Generations Roadbuster, which is laughably small compared to this guy and much less bulky. Who else do I have? I have their Coulter. I just want to show him off because everybody seems to love Coulter and can't get enough of him. So they're very close in height. Coulter is a slight bit taller. They're both around 8 inches tall to the top of the head, but Coulter is at 8 inches, and Titanica and Striker are just below 8 inches, I believe. And here he is with Spartan, much bigger than Spartan in robot mode, as well as alt mode, which we'll see a bit later. So yeah, some of the cool things which really make use of the mold a bit more in alt mode is that these circular molds actually correspond to these molded pieces here. So I guess you can make this an arm cannon as well, but it's really for, I think, alt mode. Zooming into the head, you can see that the head sculpt is really nicely inspired by IDW Roadbuster. The crest and everything like that, and the metallic green paint on the visor is really nice, as well as this face mask. Nice molded details. It is on a ball joint, which is quite nice. You don't get much down, but you do get a little bit of up, not a whole lot. You can turn his head all the way to the side, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. You can actually go all the way around, but I don't know why you would want to pull the Exorcist on this guy. Zooming back out, other articulation. He does have very big ball jointed shoulders. The ball joints actually go into the main body as opposed to going into the shoulder itself. It does also feature a hinge here. You do get a lot of interference just because his shoulder mold is really bulky, as is his backpack. So you can get it all the way around. You just have to kind of fiddle with it a bit. The shoulder pauldrons do articulate on a separate hinge if you want to do that. He does have double jointed elbows. Again, you do get some interference with the shoulder and forearm pieces, so you can't make really that much use out of it, but you do get easily 90 degrees, maybe a little bit more with some fiddling around. His wrist is on a swivel. Each of his fingers are on a single post at the base of the hand, but they all are individual. They're really rounded because of the design to make him kind of a bludgeoning weapon, which will show off in a second. His thumb is articulated on a ball joint. No additional articulation there, but yeah, you can fold this up like that, and then the back of his fist kind of rotates around, and you can have like a bludgeoning weapon, like a, I guess a Cybertron brass knuckle cut type deal, if you want to do that. His waist, he does have a waist swivel. His butt flap does kind of get in the way a bit, so if you have it all the way down, you're going to have to lift it up to get it around. You get probably close to 45 degrees each way. You can probably do something else, like lift this all the way up and get a little bit more, yeah. You can probably get close to like 60 degrees if you want to do that. But more than enough. He does have ratcheted legs going forward and back. To the side, I don't think there's ratchets out to the side. I can't really, yeah, I don't think so. And his little hip missiles do kind of get in the way, but you can move that out if you want to get a little bit more. But really the mold is what kind of gets the interference, the blockages. He has a upper thigh swivel, as well as a double jointed knee. You have one lower one here, and one upper one here. So really nice deep knee bend. His kneecaps do swivel around if you want to make use of that, I suppose. He does have the lower leg, which is for the transformation for Titanica. But you do get there and there in terms of swivels, so you do get a lot of posability. He does have a ankle tilt that goes all the way around, and a pinned toe. Same thing for the rear. It's actually on a ball joint too, so you can actually swivel that around, tilt it up and everything like that. And he has a separate heel articulation as well on a pin joint. I actually like the beefier foot forward as opposed to the small one, but again, this is really supposed to be for Striker to have, or Titanica to have the foot, this part be the toe and this part be the heel, and the opposite for Dicamus here. Did I get everything? I think I got everything in terms of posability. But yeah, he looks really nice in robot mode, but I think the mold differences that you're really going to see are going to come from alt mode. So here we are in alt mode. I actually wanted to show off a couple of things after we do a quick 360. So there's a lot of differences in this figure, even in alt mode, from the Titanica mold, even though they are mold mates. So let's take a quick 360. One of the biggest things being the lack of the 5th and 6th wheel on the sides. On the back is pretty much the same, kind of still that flatbed with these two kind of tanks hanging out there. It does roll. My review surface isn't perfectly flat. Oops, sorry, tuck that in. Isn't perfectly flat, so this wheel doesn't seem to catch. There we go. If I press down hard enough to flatten out my review surface, it works. The bottom is pretty clean. You do see some Roadbuster chest going on, but otherwise it's fairly clean. A little bit of hollowness here and here, which is due to the way this transforms, and this forms kind of a leg. So with the gun being different as we saw before, there are a lot of different options. And one of the things that I didn't notice with Titanica the first time I did it, when I plugged it into this little peg hole here, is actually these round pieces plug into these pieces here. And there's this little slot and piece that actually tab in here. So while I thought it was just a tolerance thing that they were going to fix to get it all tightened up, it's actually not. Once you get all this kind of tabbed in here, here, and here, it's super solid. One of the other things that I noticed is you can take this off and you can, there's a new peg hole on top here, which you can use. This one's a little bit loose right now. I think that is definitely a tolerance issue. But you can also plug it here or here. It looks like this should plug in here too, but again, the tolerances are a little loose, and here as well. I'm not sure about this one, but this one looks like it should be. You can still do kind of the bumper action, but again, since it only has one gun as opposed to two with Titanica, it's kind of a differentiating factor. The last thing you can do is, because the gun is remolded, you can take this off and plug it in here to have a kind of a massive gun. In addition to doing that positioning of the gun, you can also, with the addition of these new circular pieces in the middle, you can actually post it in there and have kind of a rocket launcher-esque type deal going on. Or you can go into the middle here. I don't really think this is how it's intended to go, but you can. It's just the tolerances on that hole are a little bit looser. So yeah, a lot of differences between this and the Titanica mold, which I really like. Even though they are mold mates, there's a lot of differences that will definitely keep your collection a little bit more interesting. So really quickly, let's just do some comparisons. Here's Titanica. You can see a lot of the front part, as well as the windshield, is vastly different. Coming along to the side, you can see again the biggest difference being the lack of that 5th and 6th wheel. The back looks pretty much the same. Again, you have these flippy pieces, which I guess you can rotate a little outwards to get some differentiation if you want. I prefer them this way, and it seems to make the most sense because it has kind of a little light here. And again, the arms are molded differently. This is more of a boxy, while this is more of a rounded look. Alright, other quick comparisons that I'll do. Here's the Generations Roadbuster, which is obviously much tinier. Let me scoot up a little bit. Much different look. I'm actually missing one of the gun pieces. I don't even know. I got this secondhand. But you can see just how much Dicamus dwarfs the Generations figure. So people are probably asking, why do you need another Roadbuster when we already have a decent one? Which, well, I would argue this is not a decent Roadbuster, but yeah. And then the last thing I'll do, just because people love him, is comparing it with their Coulter, their Tarn. So he again is much beefier in alt mode. Oh, actually, I did want to show you one more, another MMC figure, one of his Wrecker brothers. We have Spartan right here. Much smaller alt mode than Roadbuster. But given how chunky Roadbuster is in the comics, I can see that. Alright, so that's the last preview from the MMC line from Cyber CityCon, all the reveals. They revealed so much stuff. At first looks a lot of things. I'm really happy that we were able to preview this off for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. As always, definitely check out the other previews of Coulter, their Tarn, as well as Carnifex, the Overlord, which I put up not too long ago, their Titanica, the Molebate here, and I think that might be it. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but again, just check out, subscribe, and go ahead and check out the other videos. Thanks a lot to Toy Dojo and MMC for making these previews happen. As always, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one.